VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour number 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm your host, Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. Boy, we got breaking news this morning. We've got 2 more NBA playoff games, 2 more games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. What a great time of year it really is. We're going to talk a little college baseball, too, in the final hour of the program. We're going to do it here on out. Get a little baseball primer. I was texting with my guy, Matt Grissom, who does some work for us over at VSiN.com. You can see some of his write-ups in Bill 80's newsletter as well. I asked him, hey, how loaded is today? He goes, pretty loaded. He sent me the screenshot of all the games today. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll dive into that. So a little primer before the selection of the bracket comes to fruition in a couple of weeks. We'll do that later on in hour number 3. More on Celtics and Knicks coming up in less than 15 minutes. We'll talk to my guy, Brian Barrett, up in Boston. Where is he on his level of confidence? Do we see that bounce back from a Jason Tatum? What are we going to get from a Kristaps Porzingis? And will they blow another 20-point lead? Just something to keep in mind there. 9-3 underdogs outright so far here in this postseason. And yeah, it's just been, for me, and I joked with Will Hill when we were doing VSiN Primetime earlier this week on Tuesday night. Me and Will and Matt Humans and a lot of us here at the network, we love to bet dogs. Matt Humans and I, when we do our VSiN College Football Betting Podcast, which, by the way, got a couple of episodes already in the hopper, chatted with Ari Wasserman earlier this week if you want to check that out. But when you tune in to a Thursday VSiN College Football Betting Podcast, you normally know you're going to get a lot of dogs. And yet, the dogs have been barking like crazy, and I have not been profiting off of it. So I'm a little bit mad at myself in that regard. So more on Knicks and Celtics. Will the dog be barking today at Madison Square Garden with a amped up atmosphere? We will find out here in just a little bit. But once again, the breaking news that just came out about 15 minutes or so ago, Derek Carr has called it a career. New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr, after just a couple of seasons in New Orleans dealing with a shoulder injury, we knew he would be more than likely sidelined, if not the entirety, most of the 2025 season, but he has called it a career. The New Orleans Saints, after Tom Pelissero broke the news, and that's the graphic we're showing you right there, the New Orleans Saints have indeed put out a statement here announcing the retirement of Derek Carr, and I'll read portions of it. In late March, while ramping up his preparation for the 2025 season, Derek experienced pain in his right shoulder. It was his first time throwing a football at significant volume since recovering from both a concussion and left hand injury he sustained during play on December 8th, 2024. Eventually, medical scans determined objectively that Derek sustained a labral tear and also had significant degenerative changes to his rotator cuff. Since that time, Derek, his representation, the Saints medical team, and outside medical experts have worked together to determine the best path forward. Surgery was an option, jeopardizing the entire 2025 season, yet there was no guarantee Derek would return to the level of strength, function, and performance of play which he was accustomed to. After consultation with his wife, Derek has decided it is in his best interest of both his family and the Saints organization to retire from the National Football League. Here's a quote from Derek Carr, quote, "Upon reflection of prayer and in discussion with Heather, I've decided to retire from the National Football League. For more than 11 years, we have been incredibly blessed, and we are forever grateful and humbled by this experience. It's difficult to find the right words to express our thanks to all the teammates, coaches, management, ownership." And he goes on and on. Derek Carr out for the remainder of his career. He is retired, and that is it's an interesting development. And as we look at it from a betting standpoint, and I asked this to JVT, what does this do in your eyes to Tyler Shuck, an offensive rookie of the year? I'll run through the odds that are out there right now. DraftKings 22-1, best price you're going to find. FanDuel 20-1, Circa 16-1, Actually, circa 15 to 1. The Westgate 16 to 1. But as JVT pointed out, and I think he's right on this, if you wanted to bet Tyler Shuck, this news shouldn't really come as a big surprise. Now, I think it's surprising that he's done for his career, but is it surprising that he's not going to play this year? I think those are two different discussions to be had. I'm surprised that he's calling it a career at 34, but I also anticipated him not to play this entire season. So after the draft, what was that, a couple weeks ago, we came on these airwaves and I had two bets that I liked, two bets that I put in for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, a couple of those two bets have moved in our direction. RJ Harvey was at 50 to 1 when he was drafted by the Denver Broncos for Offensive Rookie of the Year. We added that to the best bets over at VSiN.com. And then also Caleb Johnson was at 50 to 1. So those two are in the back pocket. I think at 22 to 1, having a starting quarterback, I think it's worth a look. Now, I'm not saying unload everything you've got on Tyler Shuck to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he is going to, you would believe, get every opportunity to grab this starting job, because the reality is this. The New Orleans Saints, in the first year of the Kellen Moore era, seem to be in a situation where if we stink, not the end of the world, right? Kellen Moore's not on the hot seat like a Brian Dable is up in New York. If they're the worst team in the NFL, which right now 5 to 1 is the number for the Saints to be the worst team in the NFL at DraftKings, it wouldn't be the worst situation, because why? Maybe you get Arch Manning. Arch Manning and his dad, Archie, who did he play for? The New Orleans Saints. Where is he from? Louisiana. Interesting. Or how about this one? Who's the starting quarterback for Louisiana State University? Garrett Nussmeier. Who's his dad? Doug Nussmeier. Where's his dad work? The New Orleans Saints. He's their offensive coordinator. So as you look at the number one pick board right now over at DraftKings, Arch Manning's your favorite at plus 225, Nussmeier at plus 425. I actually think Arch Manning is not really worth a bet at that price, because the more you read and read and read about it, you hear that there seems to be maybe a plan in place for Arch for 2 years of starting at Texas and then be in the 2027 draft. But looking at the New Orleans Saints and right now their win total at DraftKings, it is sitting, as I try to pull it up live on the air, it is going to be one of the lowest win totals out there, and I believe they might have just pulled it, so interesting. But to have the fewest wins, the New Orleans Saints are 5 to 1, just shy of the Cleveland Browns. And you look at this roster for the New Orleans Saints, and none of us really had any expectations that this would be a great team in 2025. And once again, the news coming out today, I don't think affects your mindset of what was expected of the New Orleans Saints in 2025, right? Because the belief was that Derek Carr, from all reports, when it was reported about the shoulder injury, probably would be sidelined the entire year. And now he's called it a career. Looking up and down this roster, you've got Alvin Kamara in the backfield. You've got, Chris Olave out there. They went out and they got Brandon Cooks. First round pick was Kelvin Banks, who you would imagine is a plug and play starting left tackle. But it certainly feels like this Saints team is going to take their fair share of lumps in 2025. And I don't know if this news coming out today that Derek Carr has called it a career should change your opinion on the New Orleans Saints in 2025. Now, Tyler Shuck at 22 to 1, is that worth a sprinkle, couch change on him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year? When you look at the current odds board, and I'm going to use DraftKings, Ashton Genty, the favorite, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Omarion Hampton, and now, how about this? Tyler Shuck, wow. He has moved from 22 to 1 down to 10 to 1 here in the last 10 minutes. I think that's an overreaction. he was more than likely going to be the starter no matter what. I guess not no matter what. Was favored to be the starter. And if you were able to get up 22-1 like I was during the break, great. Little couch change. But I still have more excitement over RJ Harvey or Caleb Johnson at the prices we were able to get. I think him dropping from 22-1 down to 10-1 seems to be a bit of an overreaction. But I guess the mindset here, if you're in a book, is that you're going to start Tyler Shuck. You're going to let him take his lumps. And when you're a quarterback going for this award, wins and losses doesn't necessarily matter. Sometimes it does. I mean, Jaden Daniels was going to win the award if they went 5-12 or 12-5, but they went 12-5, so he won the award going away a year ago. Tyler Shuck, though, now down to 10-1 to an Offensive Rookie of the Year at DraftKings. The breaking news this morning, Derek Carr calling it a career after 11 seasons in the NFL, 9 with the Las Vegas Raiders, or 9 with the Raiders, and 2 with the New Orleans Saints. So breaking news this morning from the NFL as Derek Carr has called it a career. On the other side of the break, we will head back to the NBA. The Boston Celtics down 0-2, but yet the series favorite. Should they be? I think they should be. We'll talk to Brian Barrett. What is he expecting to see from the Celtics today? Do they bounce back? He'll give us his answers next right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
Keep it rolling here on a Saturday morning, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Tim Murray. Once again, the breaking news of the morning, Derek Carr calling a career, 34 years old, dealing with that shoulder injury that we learned about a month ago prior to the draft. Saints went out and drafted Tyler Shuck in the second round. And now the Saints will be looking for a quarterback. We'll see, maybe Tyler Shuck's the answer, but more than likely, you would think next year with Arch Manning, possibly Garrett Nussmeier, etc., could be the route that they go. But we got a lot of time to digest football. We don't have a lot of time to get you ready for Knicks and Celtics, Game 3, Madison Square Garden. And let's head up to a city that used to have the Garden in Boston. It's still the TD Garden, but it's not the same. Brian Barrett, my buddy, joins me right now, courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line. You can check out his podcast, Off the Pike, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, talking all things Boston sports. They'll be with you after every single game. So much to get to regarding this series, and we'll just start with the simple. They're 25 of 100 from 3. You're a big analytically based host and better. Is this something that seems fixable? Is this a blip? Or is there more long-term concerns about how poorly this Celtics team has been shooting in games 1 and 2?
So what we keep hearing from Joe Mazzulla is, hey, they're open shots, they're good shots. And I understand that to some extent, but here's the problem that I have, Tim. And as you said, I like to go by the numbers. I think the percentages at some point are going to work in the Celtics' favor. And they may have a couple of games in this series where they shoot the 3 really well. Here's the problem, though. They haven't shot the 3 well all postseason. They have more games this postseason where they've shot south of 30% than north of 40%. So the reality of the situation is they're not a good 3-point shooting team so far in this playoffs. And the thing that irritates you is there's so many possessions in the second half of these games, specifically the fourth quarter, where it's no pass into a 3-point opportunity, right? And what it feels like to me, what happens is in both these games, as you know, they have gone up by 20 points. And because they're so analytically inclined, they don't shoot the ball until there's like less than 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and they're just hoisting up a 3. So the reason, like, you can look at some of the data, and the tracking data will tell you these are good shots. But when the Celtics are really rolling, they're getting downhill and they're kicking it out to open shooters. That's not what's happening right now. The Knicks are daring certain guys on the Celtics to shoot the ball. And what's happening is there's no ball movement whatsoever. If you look at the passing numbers for the Celtics in this series, they're attempting fewer passes per game than anybody in the league attempted this year. So it's just station to station basketball. And that's why, yes, They are getting good shots to some extent, but that's why I just can't buy that argument that, hey, they just need to shoot the ball better. That's not the reality. The reality is they're not being aggressive once they get these leads.
Brian Barrett joining us here, courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at It's Brian Barrett. Off the Pike is his podcast, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, talking all things Boston sports. Yeah, game one, I was laughing here. I was in studio, and there was a possession where Jason Tatum takes a terrible step-back three contested. Drew Holiday gets the offensive rebound, kicks it back out, and they do the same thing. And I think similarly in game two, Brian, I think it was Derek White, put up a three, got the offensive rebound, and shot another three. So, look, they won the title last year. This is a team that likes to shoot the three, but it is kind of confusing how these threes just have been poor. And then, I guess I'll ask you this, because it felt like early on in game two, Drew Holiday was kind of cooking, right, against Jalen Brunson. They had to shift Jalen Brunson off. Then they just kind of went away from it. So what seems to be, in your eyes, the biggest issue with this offense? Because you look at their offensive rating, and the Knicks do deserve some credit, no doubt, defensively, but this is a very good to elite offense, and it just feels like when you look at the offensive rating numbers, they've been putrid these first two games.
Yeah, I was so enthusiastic about the fact that they gave the ball to Drew at the beginning of the game when he had Brunson on him. And to your point, they switch him off him. But then at the very end of the game,
he's back
Brunson's on Drew again. And they're like, oh, yeah, we forgot that we did this earlier, this thing that works. Like, we traded for this Drew Holiday guy that can punish smaller defenders, and we're not going to give him the ball. That is just, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. And the other component to that is they don't realize how they get these leads for some inexplicable reason. They haven't shot the three well in the first halves of these games either. Yet, if you go to game one, they get the lead because in the second quarter, Jaylen Brown is getting downhill and he's getting to the basket. And the same thing can be said about game two. Jaylen was awesome at the beginning of the game, and then they stopped going to the basket for whatever reason. I don't understand why. And the other thing that I would say is this, is the Knicks are doing a really good job at confusing Tatum, because there are certain times where they'll allow Towns to switch on him. But Wingstop, and I hate that nickname they have, those three players in particular, Hart, especially OG Anunoby, who Tatum can't do anything against that guy right now, although he hit that huge three at the end of the regular season where he basically crossed him up and it looked like OG was going to fall over. And Bridges, those three guys, it's like Tatum can't get a read. Are they coming to help when Towns is on him? Are they not coming to help? So they've done a good job confusing him. But I would just say this, they're so stubborn and so rigid with their style, especially the head coach of the team, that I'd like to see them do other things, right? Like, Jason Tatum doesn't have to bring up the ball every time or set a screen for the ball handler every time. They're like allergic to putting Tatum off the ball, having him come off some sort of an action. Or give him the ball at the nail, give him the ball at the elbow, because that's where Tatum can really dominate. And for whatever reason, they won't do it. And one other component I would say, if Porzingis looks like he has in the first couple of games of this series, and I feel bad for the guy, he's obviously legitimately dealing with something serious that they can't figure it out. They shouldn't play him, because he's actually hurting the team right now when he's out there. And I would advocate for more Pritchard minutes, just because he's somebody that pushes the pace for this team and they're playing so slowly. But that's why I look at the series and I say, I'm shocked that the Celtics are the favorites, because Jalen's dealing with this knee situation where sometimes he looks good, other times he doesn't. And then Drew has a hamstring thing. Who knows if that could flare up again. And Porzingis, he's been a non-factor. If anything, he's hurt the team. Yeah,
when you look at the series price, the Knicks, after they won game two on Wednesday night, reopened at DraftKings minus 135. And now everywhere in the market, the Knicks are the underdog in the series, Brian, to your point there. So we've seen the market adjust to it. And look, I'll be honest, I'm stubborn. I went back in on the Celtics. I've already lost one series bet. We'll see how it plays out. Brian Barrett joining us here. So looking ahead to this afternoon, we know the atmosphere is going to be through the roof there at the Garden. The ticket prices are astronomically high. How are you looking at attacking this game from a betting standpoint as you look at Celtics and Knicks on later this afternoon?
Yeah, I like the Celtics to cover that 5.5. I just think, if anything, and I know Madison Square Garden is electric and all that, if anything, going on the road actually helps the Celtics for whatever reason. They have not been a great home team this year. They have been an elite road team. They're tied for the second most wins in the history of the league on the road this year, behind only that Warriors team that broke the record. So I would take the Celtics to cover. I put together a nice little SGP for you too, Tim.
Ooh, what we got?
So this is long. Plus 465, all right? I get Tatum over 23.5. He's got to bounce back. He's getting the volume. He's just not hitting shots. Tatum 8 rebounds. He had like 7 in the first quarter the other night. That's the one thing he is doing well in the series. Derek White, 15 points, because if you look at his numbers, he's getting up like 11 to 15 threes in these first couple of games. Towns over 16.5 points. They have no answer for Towns. And I don't know why they went away from him in that game too, because he scored 8 straight points. He put Al Horford in the basket, who's a very strong guy, and they stopped going to him. Campaign jacked up like a pull-up 3. And, of course, Tibbs took him out of the game. And then Pritchard over 6.5 points, because I think they need more Pritchard. So that's Pritchard over 6.5, Towns over 16.5, White 15, Tatum 8 boards, Tatum over 23.5. And you can get that. That's plus 465.
All right, I like it. 5-legger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5-legger, and that is the Brian Barrett concoction. All right, before I let you run, you think the Celtics win today? If you are of the mindset, like you and like me, that they win today, do you put in a future on the Celtics to win the title? Because based off of pure power ratings, they'll more than likely be the favorite in the title if they get there. Or are you still a little bit hesitant on this Celtics team long term here in this postseason?
Yeah, I would probably sprinkle a little bit on that just because what we've seen around the league right now, like OKC going down to Denver, and then we've seen Cleveland has been dealing with these injuries. Of course, they pick up the win last night, but it's probably worth it. The thing to me with the Celtics team is it'd be one thing if they were healthy right now. And so I understand the idea of putting a little bit on them, but the thing that scares you is just the health of the 3 of the top 5 guys on the team. When we're talking about Porzingis, we're talking about Drew Holiday, and we're talking about Jaylen Brown. Like, the reality is it's so difficult to defend a title, right? Guys go down. We saw it with the Bucks a couple of years ago when Middleton went down. So I don't think they're going to repeat at this point, Tim. Now, I could be wrong, and I'd be happy to be wrong, but I just feel like something's going to go wrong with them health-wise. And if Mazzulla doesn't change up the way that they play once in a while, and he keeps being so stubborn, even with his answers after these games, he thinks he's right fouling Mitchell Robinson late in the game to get OG on the court because Mitchell Robinson was a plus 19. Quite frankly, and I know he won a championship, I don't trust the coach.
Oh man, I can only imagine what the folks up there in Boston are talking about after being down 0-2. Good thing your baseball team, everything's just going very swimmingly well up there, BB. Brian, always appreciate it, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, Tim, have a good one.
Brian Barrett also might play first base. I've heard that. It's Brian Barrett is where you can find him on Twitter.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
We got 2 more NBA playoff games today, ladies and gentlemen. In the NBA playoffs, they're heating up, and our partner, Prophet X, is offering the best odds all playoffs long. Prophet X is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states. You'll be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against the sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download Prophet X today and use the code VSiN and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. It's been fun to see the market and how it's been reacting to the news today that Derek Carr is calling it a career. DraftKings, Circa, and the Westgate Superbook all down to 10-1 on Tyler Shuck to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He was 22-1 at DK this morning, 15-1 at Circa, 16-1 at the Westgate Superbook. And I want to bring in my good friend, Cody Decker from SiriusXM's Mad Dog Radio. He and Michelle Beto give you a tremendous program every weekday. It is called Beetle and Decker. It's very good name for a strong name for a radio program. But you're a Raider guy, Mr. Decker, and I'm curious your thoughts of the news that Derek Carr calling it a career, and we'll also get into the glimpses of your news prize possession there at running back. But Derek Carr retiring, your thoughts?
Sad. Sad for a guy that put up outrageous numbers for my Raiders for years and years and years, for a Raider team that was not even a semblance of a football team, for a guy that had to sit through all of the turnover that took place, all of the controversy, moving to a new city that, quite frankly, was abandoning a very, very passionate fan base, but luckily did kind of convert over there to Vegas as well. And then, seeing how it's all kind of shook out there with the Saints has been just frankly sad. And the fact that he ended his career not even on his own terms, sadly, because he has to end with a shoulder injury. It's just a sad way to go out. He made a ton of money. He had a great career. But I mentioned, I hear you talking about Tyler Schutt. I mean, Spencer Rattler is still there, correct?
That is true.
Did somebody tell me that Spencer Rattler left at some point? Because I have another co-host on weekends on the show called Bet for the Cycle, and he's a diehard New Orleans Saints fan. And this guy's been trying to talk my ear off for 2 years that Spencer Rattler is the future of this franchise. I don't see it, but apparently some Saints fans do.
I wouldn't go that far, but we'll see. I think the future of the franchise might be playing college football this year. That would probably be the realistic way to look at.
Tim. We got to put a squash. We got to squash this.
Hold on. I'm not saying he's playing in Austin. I think he might be playing in Baton Rouge. Okay, I think the guy that everyone's drooling over, Arch, and hey. I hope he's awesome. It would be good for college football, the sport that I love. But I also think that he comes from a family. Well, I don't know. I know he comes from a family that's pretty smart, right? So are they going to rush him to the NFL? I think, and I talked about it earlier, I think plus 225, even if he goes number one, I think it's a silly bet because there's no guarantee that he's going to the pros next year.
There isn't. And also, my God, the sycophants that call into my show about their fandoms like, it doesn't matter about this year. It's all about the Jets next year when we get our hands on Arch. I'm like, oh my God, you can't all have Arch. Not all of you can have them, but everybody's got them penciled in 2026.
What's that movie? What was it? Multiplicity with Michael Keaton. They're all going to multiply Arch Manning there, and every team's going to get him. All right, you busted into a New York accent there, so let's get to the Garden today. We're spending thousands of dollars there to go see the Knicks. This game is going to be incredible. I can only imagine if you open up your window there in New York City, just people just chanting as they walk down the streets of the Garden. What do you make of this game? I've said it and I'll continue to repeat myself. I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to go down with this burning ship that is the Boston Celtics because I think they're better. The Knicks have played well enough and the Celtics have kind of, done stuff in their pants that they probably shouldn't have. But what do you make of it? Do the Knicks do it again as a 6-point underdog today at the Garden?
No. The only reason the Knicks got these two games is because the Celtics let them have it because of their arrogant play and unwillingness to even make an adjustment or take a 2-point play at any point, especially in the fourth quarter. Jason Tatum and these Superman ads.
Poor timing. Poor timing.
What a terrible choice by the NBA. Dear God. Anyways, listen, I think you just said it. The Celtics are a better team. And frankly, the Vegas books haven't even adjusted yet to favoriting the Knicks right now. And that's amazing considering the fact in the NBA, teams that go up 0-2 win at an astonishing clip of 88.7% of the time. But at the end of the day, this is the Knicks. We've seen this before. In fact, we saw the Knicks go up 2-0 last year against the Pacers and end up dropping that series. I think it's going to be Knicks and honestly, I think it's going to be Celtics in 6. I think they're going to sweep through the last 4 games. I'm shocked that we got these last 2 games, as we should be. They were outrageous comebacks. The Celtics have given up 20-point leads only 3 times in the last 2 years. 2 were this week.
Yeah, it really is. Like, as I was sitting there watching the game on Wednesday night, and it started to chip away, I'm like, really? It's going to happen. Oh, yeah, it's happening. It is happening right now. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Celtics take care of business. By the way, underdogs just performing at a ridiculous rate right now in this second round. 9-3 straight up. Not even again. I mean, they're 9-3 against the spread, but straight up, it is just it's remarkable to see what we are seeing. Cody Decker joining us right now, courtesy of our progressive guest line. You can catch them all over the place. Mad Dog Sports Radio. They're on Sirius XM, just a little bit further down from where we are on channel 158. So check out Mad Dog Radio there, and he and Michelle Beadle weekdays. All right, let's get to a little baseball because a gentleman by the name of Shohei Shohei Ohtani did it again last night. 11-11 was the score, and he went yard with a 3-run bomb in the ninth. Have you seen Shohei pimp a homer like that? I don't know if I've ever seen him pimp one as well as he did last night, and I was all for it. I'm like, okay, Shohei, yeah, strut your stuff. He's 2-1 to win MVP. I know he got off to a bit of a slow start, but man, every time you turn around, he's hitting another dong.
Slow start. The guy's hitting 304 with 12 home runs. Give me that slow start anytime, my guy. You kidding me? If this is a slow start
for his sake.
For his sake, sure. Guys, I know he's a DH. I know he won the MVP last year. This is the Shohei Ohtani Invitational is what this award has turned into. And frankly, it's going to continue being that way until Shohei Ohtani decides it's no longer going to be that way. I took no flyer on the NL anywhere. The only one that I could even find value on, I thought, was maybe Freddie Freeman. But I don't care because at the end of the day, this is just the fact. Shohei Ohtani is going to get pitched to because of who hits behind him. Period. Stop. You're going to put him on? Why? So he can steal second base and you pitch to Mookie Betts? Great. You got a runner in scoring position for Mookie Betts. Okay, put on Mookie Betts. You're going to face Freddie Freeman, the other Hall of Famer, with 2 guys on that you just freely gave up? Guys, this is the scariest team that's ever existed. Shohei Ohtani is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen on any sport field. And frankly, he's going to win like 6 of these.
Yeah, he was. It was ridiculous last night, and the homer.
He should have 4, by the way.
Yeah.
He only has 3. What a loser.
Yeah, he is. He is a loser. By the way, I was getting a kick out of what we saw. You and I hold a deep-seated love for minor league baseball. You played it. I, of course, did not play it. I broadcasted it for 4 years. And John Oliver over at HBO had a little bit talking about how he wants to take over a team. He was talking about the promos. So I just want you to walk us through this day in your life when you donned this jersey as a member of the El Paso Chihuahuas. Look how handsome you. Look at that beard. The beard game's still strong. A little pepper, little salt in there. But how was it wearing a jersey with a Chihuahua on its chest there?
To this day, the single best jersey I've ever worn. There has not been a close second. Yes, I have that exact jersey. Yes, I played in the MLB AAA All-Star game that year. I wore that jersey. Yes, they did threaten to fine me. Yes, I didn't care. It was amazing. I don't know what to tell you other than John Oliver is a gift from the gods, and I cannot wait to see what he comes up with. And yes, I love, and by the way, I'm really happy that they highlighted that jersey because wear everything that the minor leagues does right now. You see the supper clubbers out there. You see all these weird names and these weird logos, and they're really getting a lot of attention. It all started with my El Paso Chihuahuas and the ridiculous things that we were doing there. That's where it started. And I'm proud to be a part of this absurd childlike legacy.
It really is the best. That jersey is unbelievable. I didn't know that you wore it in the AAA All-Star game.
Sure did.
That's incredible. Cody, you're the man. Appreciate you as always, my friend.
No, I appreciate you, Tim, appreciating me.
There he is. Cody Decker. Check out his show with Michelle Beadle weekdays there on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Radio. Hey, just a reminder, head on over to VSiN.com if you want to know where the money is really going. Unlike other sources, our betting splits, ladies and gentlemen, come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you the insight where the sharp action is landing. You can get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month. VSIN.com/subscribe. We'll get to some best bets on the other side. It is the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
We keep it rolling here on a Saturday morning. Thanks again to Cody Decker for jumping on the program. I'm Tim Murray. Coming up top of the hour, if you missed it, we'll replay a little bit of what the voice of the Washington Capitals, John Walton, had to say about how this series, in his eyes, will play out from a goal-scoring standpoint. Caps and Canes later on this afternoon, or this evening, I should say, 6:10 Eastern down there in Raleigh. Series even up one game apiece. Carolina, pretty significant favorite, north of $2 to win that series. Both of the games have gone under the total. Today, 5.5 right now is the number for the full game total. First period is sitting at 1.5, slightly juiced to the over. We've yet to see a goal scored in the first period of this series. Vegas and Edmonton, they also get going later on tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, and the Edmonton Oilers up 2-0 in that series, and they are a slight home favorite, winning in overtime on Thursday night by a final of 5-4. Both of those games have gone over the total, and that's why you're seeing a 6.5 juiced over at -130 for Vegas and Edmonton. Once again, the breaking news, if you're just jumping in your car, wherever you may be here on a Saturday morning, Derek Carr has retired. So Derek Carr, the quarterback of the Saints, who we were expecting to miss most of, if not all, of the 2025 season, which led to the speculation pre-draft, maybe at number 9, the Saints would go quarterback. Ultimately, as we got closer and closer to the draft, the odds shifted, and we anticipated it would probably be a lineman, either defensive or offensive. Ultimately, it was Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, who will be more than likely a plug-and-play starting left tackle there for the New Orleans Saints. But in the second round, they went with Tyler Shuck, the quarterback out of Louisville, and the elder statesman, if you want to look at it that way. So Tyler Shuck will be the guy. It seems, even though I think Cody brought up a point, I don't think it's just going to be handed over to Tyler Shuck. But assuming health, Tyler Shuck will be the starter, you would imagine, down there in New Orleans. And then the speculation will begin. Does Arch Manning end up in New Orleans? Does Garrett Nussmeier go play for his pops, who's the offensive coordinator? Well, you got to finish worst team in the league in order for that to happen. But what we have seen from a betting standpoint today regarding this news of Derek Carr, and JVT was on an hour ago when the news first popped. DraftKings was 22-1 on Tyler Shuck to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. That is now 10-1. Circa was 15-1 on Tyler Shuck to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. 10-1. Westgate Superbook here in Vegas was sitting at 16-1. They're down to 10-1. BetMGM, according to David Behrman over at Pro Football News, 20-1 down to 15-1, and then FanDuel, I believe, was 20-1, and they are now sitting at 14-1. So you've seen a market adjustment to the news of Derek Carr announcing his retirement, and I do wonder. Look, at 10-1, I'll say this, and I said it when JVT was on the air. At 22-1, which was gettable for a couple of minutes there at DK, I think it was worth a bet. And I was able to grab a little bit, nothing too crazy, because the expectation was you're getting a starting quarterback at a pretty good price. 10-1, I don't know if I'm racing right now. At 10-1, I don't know. I would say this, if you have not gotten involved, I don't think there is a necessity to get involved right now. So this is your current odds board. I'm using DraftKings. Ashton Genty, favorite plus 230. Cam Ward plus 330. Hunter, Travis Hunter, Amarian Hampton, and Tyler Shuck all now 10-1. And then Tetaroa McMillan 14-1. Travion Henderson 18-1. If you're looking for another quarterback, Shedeur Sanders down there 28-1, but obviously massive uncertainty there in Cleveland about who will ultimately be the starting quarterback when you've got Joe Flacco, you've got Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and now Shedeur Sanders. We can talk more about Shedeur Sanders a little bit tomorrow, if you will. But the breaking news today, Derek Carr has called it a career, according to Tom Pelissero, and then the news has become official by the New Orleans Saints, and we've seen quotes from Derek Carr. So 11-year career is all over for Derek Carr, dealing with that shoulder injury. 11 years for Derek Carr. I will note this real quick from a salary cap standpoint. This was just tweeted out regarding Derek Carr. This from Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network. Derek Carr's decision to retire gives the Saints $30 million in cash and cap relief. In exchange, he gets to keep his $10 million roster bonus from March, and the team will not seek reimbursement of his signing bonus. So there you go. Once again, the news of the day, Derek Carr is retiring from the NFL. And are we going to get to the point where we are asking ourselves in like a year, well, Derek Carr could come back. Derek Carr's available. I mean, it's certainly possible. We do that, I feel like, with every retired quarterback. And Tom Brady, obviously, ultimately came back and played for the Buccaneers. We saw Jay Cutler do it one time. The Andrew Luck thing never came to fruition. Everyone always expected him to come back. And now he's focusing on Stanford, who has the second worst over-under in college football this year, at least Power 4-wise. Only fewer wins expected by Purdue. 2.5, and Stanford sitting at 3.5. All right, let's get to some best bets. And as always, our best bets brought to you by our friends over at GBank. I want to revisit what has been said already on the show. And, we talked to JVT. I don't know if he handed out official best bets, but the way he was looking, Celtics and T-Wolves today. And I'll paraphrase what JVT said regarding the Minnesota Timberwolves, which was, it has to be T-Wolves or pass. I'll say this for JVT. I think, and not to put it out there, but I would say the best bet from him, from his hit earlier today, was Celtics to win the title based off of the odds. Because if the Celtics, 6-point favorites today, win, what happens to the plus 310? It shortens a little bit. And now when you're looking around the landscape of the NBA playoffs, Oklahoma City down 2-1. Minnesota, overwhelming favorite to win that series, but you certainly have your questions about Minnesota and whether or not they were able to get past the next round, whether it be Denver or Oklahoma City. Indiana, up 2-1. However, Cleveland now the betting favorite to win that series. So if you like the Boston Celtics, and you think this is a buy low opportunity, and you think they come back to win this series, I certainly think that is a way to go. All right, best bets for me today. And I think it was last week where I went in on the Boston Celtics at minus 2.5 games. Well, that bet is officially toast. I reinvested prior to game 2, as I watched that on Wednesday night with Will Hill on VSiN Primetime. I reinvested pregame on Celtics minus 1.5. Not dead yet. Doesn't feel great, but not dead yet. Yeah, we're going back in on the Celtics. Find the cheapest price. I was able to get minus 105. There was some plus money out there on the Boston Celtics to come back to win this series. I will believe it when I see it. And I know 2 years ago it happened. 2 years ago, the Miami Heat stunned the Boston Celtics. They went up 3-0. We got a game 7. Jason Tatum got banged up in said game 7, and the Miami Heat were able to win that series. A lot of that had to do with some insane shooting. Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, all played spectacular. Jimmy Butler there was not 100%, but still, they were able to find that win. The Celtics have to be, and as you heard from Brian Barrett earlier this hour, the frustration of this Celtics team is enormous. 20-point leads in both of these games, as you all know. Watch them go away. This is a team that, if you look at, effective field goal percentage, they should have obviously won both of those games. I'm sure our friends over at Shot Quality had them winning both of those games. But they lost. That's the fact. But I think they win today. I think they win both games in Madison Square Garden. I think this thing goes back to TD Garden, tied at 2. And while you could probably get some decent numbers on Celtics to win in 6, which I would certainly be happy with how that would ultimately play out. That said, I'll just take them to win the series. So find the cheapest series price out there. By the way, if you do think the Celtics win the next 4 games, you could probably look at a rollover money line option, or plus 285 right now is where it is at DraftKings. Just a reminder, GBank is, once again, the sponsor of our best bets. And get the GBank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money on the card. GBank treats gaming transactions and purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. Also, with GBank, you're earning 1% cashback rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now. VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. More of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line, getting you ready for 2 games on the ice and 2 games in the NBA playoffs next.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.